Happy Sunday. How's everybody doing? I wanted to take a minute to go live today and talk to you about something that a lot of creators have been wrestling with. A lot of the creators I talk to, when I ask them some simple questions about value proposition and understanding who they're making content for, it's funny how many people don't have a great handle on exactly who their target audience is. I'll get people who are have gaming channels, and I'll say, well, who's your target audience? And they'll say gamers. Then I have to go into an explanation that's not enough. That's sort of like opening up a restaurant and saying, oh, well, who are you trying to attract to your restaurant? And the answer is, people who like food. It's got to be more than that, right? It has to be more of a reason. Eric Whiskey Studies. Hey, thanks for the super chat, pal. Another fine day to be in Scotland drinking whiskey. I wish I was there drinking whiskey. Right. Well, wherever you're at today, Eric, I'm hoping that it's a fine day as long as you have whiskey in hand. So listen. So one of the things I want to work with you guys on today is I'm going to be trying to interact with the chat. I'd like to make this a little more of a group effort because I think if we can learn the skills to help us define a target audience, it can not only help us grow the channel that we're trying to grow right now, but if you start another channel or if you're trying to pivot a channel, it makes it a lot easier because all the things that you do on your channel should really represent that value proposition and should always be leaning on that target audience and knowing who they are and knowing who you're making content for. One of the things about knowing who your target audience is that every week that you put up a new video, YouTube is using the data of who's watching those videos to define who they think your target audience is. So if you're unfocused in the way you make content and you're not sure who your audience is and you're kind of playing the field a bit, that can send a lot of mixed signals, and it ends up having YouTube sending out tomorrow's video out to someone who is watching a different video on your channel from maybe a week or a month ago that didn't really target the same people. So it puts YouTube in a state of flux, and it actually makes it harder for YouTube to understand who your target audience is. So this idea of creating alignment and really understanding who we make content for, what their pain points are, what their psychographics look like, and think about who that person really is. And if we can do that, that's when we can really start moving the needle on channel growth. So let me jump in the chat here, see what's going on with you crazy kids. I see Roger Wakefield on the Today Show the other morning. Congratulations on that, Roger. I watched that. That was fantastic, man. I love it when we see creators who I actually know, who are actually friends of mine, and I see them on the morning news. They're just like, yep, there he is. There's Roger telling them about plumbing. Man, that's great. Congratulations. Roger Wakefield's in the house. Yeah, absolutely. So listen, what I want you guys to jump right into. I'll ask you straight up in the chat. If you think you know who your target audience is, just write it in the chat. And there are no wrong answers here. We're going to try to create better answers. But I don't want you to feel like, I'm not quite sure. You can even say I'm not quite sure if you don't know. But tell me who you think your target audience is. Just write it in the chat. And let's start having a conversation about who it is we're trying to reach and how we can better reach them. Good morning, creators. I read that in my head in a Robin Williams voice from Good Morning Vietnam. Don't know why. It's just how I'm rolling today, I guess. Okay, let's see. Let's see. I think my target, Amy Johnson Crow says, I think my target audience is people who are interested in finding their family history. Yeah, I think that's a good top of the funnel place, right? You do genealogy. There are people who are interested in finding out about their family history. I think another portion of that is probably history, also including, if there's any missing relatives that they don't know about, someone they might be related to, where, the stories that people have told, passed down, where, like your parents always tell you, you're Italian. And then you start learning more about, tracing your genealogy back, and you start realizing that, maybe you've got different, roots and different things going on in there along the way. I think that's a pretty good one. People who are interested in finding their family history. One of the things I would tell you, Amy, and I think that's good, is when you start building that into a value proposition, think about the why. They're interested in finding their family history. Can it also be people who, who are not necessarily in hot pursuit of finding their family history, but are interested in the conversation of it or don't know where to get started? So sort of understanding the why part of it can also be important. But I think that's a pretty solid, target audience. You know, I understand what it is based on interest, which is great. Let me go through some of these. Not a clue. I just create for my own amusement. And I guess that's okay. You know, I'm reading TR Tech Reality. I'm guessing you're a tech channel. That would be my guess, right? I think creating for your own amusement is fine. If you don't want to grow a channel, if the goal is, look, I just make content because I like doing it. It doesn't matter. Make whatever you want. Really today, what the focus that I'm going to be pushing towards is creators who are literally trying to make content, put it onto YouTube, and grow an audience around that content. So if you're not interested, if you're just doing it for fun, I think that's the greatest thing in the world. I think just making content because you like the enjoyment of it, that's exactly how I play music nowadays. There's no money in it. I'm not trying to reach anybody. I can just do it for fun. Let's see. I'm going to go over here. Andrew Better says, people who want to make their favorite takeout dishes at home. I love that. I love that. Very specific, right? This is a great value proposition and a great target audience because it says a lot right here, right? It's not, people who want to learn how to cook, right? That's narrow, right? That's very, it's just so fuzzy. I don't understand it. I don't know who that really is. A lot of people like to cook. But it's very specific when Andrew says, listen, I'm trying to reach people who want to make their favorite takeout dishes, but make them at home, right? Their favorite restaurant dishes, but take out, but make them at home. Love it. I know exactly who those people are. It's people who like takeout, right? People who maybe want to learn how to cook some things. They don't have to be great cooks. You're not saying that. But you're like, hey, you know that great stuff? Do you want to figure out how to make whatever that takeout might be? Anything from, I guess it could be, how to make Big Mac sauce, how to make your own Big Macs at home and make the Big Mac sauce, or learn how to make Kentucky Fried Chicken with the 7 herbs and spices, or is it 11? How many is it, Megan? Megan, how many spices does the Colonel have?
12.
12 herbs. You can tell I'm not a big KFC guy. Yeah, I love it. This is really great. You're spot on, Andrew. Make sure every time you make a video, this is the important thing. Every time you make a video, you have to be saying, okay, would someone who wants to make their favorite takeout dish at home enjoy this video? And if you start straying from that, what?
I'm wrong. It is 11.
See, maybe I was smarter than Megan. The whole chat turns on us. You guys are both idiots. Is it 42? 42 herbs and spices. 12. All right, we lose. That's the last time I let Megan fact check me. She's probably Megan for an entire year convinced me I was the wrong age. When was how old was I? 50, when was that, Megan?
I think you were 52, and I think I convinced you that you were 53.
Convinced me I was 53 until I had my next birthday, and I did the math, and I went, wait a minute, how can I be turning 54? And I did the math, and I went, you told me all years. She's very convincing, that laugh.
Don't ask me numbers.
Let's see. 25 to 44 people learning English as a second language. Okay, here's an interesting thing. English Fun Zone. Let me ask you a question. If someone's 45 years old, I assume 25 to 44, if someone's 45 years old and trying to learn English as a second language, your channel specifically tells them, no, I am not for you. I'm not for you. This is not your... don't come here trying to learn English as a second language because I only serve people 25 to 44. This is one of those examples where I always try to tell people, don't confuse demographics with the psychographics or with the actual true nature of what your target audience is. Your target audience should be based on interest. Now you may tend to get more people who are 25 to 44, but I bet you have some people, if you looked at your demographics, that are over 44 and some that are under 25. So don't confuse demographics with the definition of who your target audience is. What your target audience is people who are trying to learn English as a second language. That's great. You had it right there. That way, every time you make a piece of content, it should really focus on those topics that really express that idea of learning English as a second language, and not try to get confused as to just being an English tutoring class. You're not trying to teach little kids how to speak English. It's really people who already have a native language and they're trying to learn this as a second language. So that makes a lot of sense. And it'll help you define exactly how to make that content, which would be very different than a teacher who was teaching, maybe, eighth grade English to students in school. Very different thing, very different target audience. They're learning it as their main language. This is people who want to learn it as a second language. So you can understand some of the interests of why they'd want to learn it as a second language, and you can start leveraging that in some of the content you make because you know why they might be wanting to learn it, right? There's usually a reason people want to learn a second language. Maybe it's to get that job. Maybe they're going to be traveling. So there's all these different things that you can leverage because you know who the target audience is, and then you can understand their pain points, right? They're trying to learn this language because they have a relative who speaks this native tongue, and they've always had trouble. They'd like to speak the native tongue. They speak English, and maybe their grandmother speaks Italian, or vice versa. They speak Italian, maybe their grandmother speaks English, because it would be the other way for you. And you're trying to learn the English that maybe someone else speaks so that you can speak with your family. Or maybe you have relatives who have learned English and they speak it, but you don't, and you're trying to catch up with your relatives because maybe you're going to be moving to America or taking on a job that where English can be a very important metric for getting a higher paid position. Let me just scroll through here. Guess what, Corgi Butt? There's Trey. Became a YouTube. I think he was already a member. He's probably re-becoming a member. Good to see you here, Trey. Always a pleasure, Corgi Butt. Let me just read some of these. My target audience is the person who wants to know more about whiskey than they can learn from other channels. I would refine that, Eric, because now you've completely put yourself in competition with other channels, and that's not the goal here, because this should stand alone. Your target audience should be, is it people who want to learn more about whiskey, not than they can from other channels, because that's like, well, that's not a hard bar to cross, because they'll definitely learn more about whiskey from your channel than they would mine, because I drink whiskey, but I don't teach anything about it. So you really want to think about, Eric, is the more of the people who want to learn more about whiskey. I would go deeper with that. Who want to learn more about whiskey in what sense? Like, I just want to know more about it. Is it all aspects of whiskey? Because if someone who wants to who wants to get into the entire history of it, the making of it, how to know a good whiskey from a bad whiskey. I think you can get more in depth other than saying something like more than they can from other channels. You should be able to define what it is about your whiskey channel that separates you from potentially other channels that might also talk about whiskey, because I don't know that every channel that talks about whiskey would be the same, right? One might be a whiskey channel that was a specific brand that makes whiskey. Maybe there's a Jameson YouTube channel that talks all about how they make whiskey, their heritage, the different new whiskeys that they're putting out in the Jameson line, some of which are horrible. The weird flavors they're making now. But you know what I mean? So I think there's a deeper thing in there where you really want to understand, say, no, I'm not a whiskey manufacturer. I'm a connoisseur. I'm someone who enjoys whiskey, and I help people better understand whiskey from its, where it's made from, the differences between every type of whiskey, the way they're made, those kind of things. I would think a little more on that one. I thought my audience was ServiceNow developers, but when make general news content, something didn't fit. So here's one of those things, right? Like, I don't understand. One of the things I always say is most value propositions should make sense to someone who doesn't know the terminology. Try not to explain math with math terms, is how I usually say it. When my son would come home from high school and he'd have all this algebra homework he needed help with, or whatever the thing may be, looking at him, and if he didn't understand how to solve a specific algebraic equation, telling him a bunch of math terms and saying, oh, you got to take the cosine and divide it by the numerator and multiply by the way, that doesn't help explain it. Trying to simplify it and saying, okay, see that X, that represents a missing number. What we need to do is figure out what that missing number is by taking this number and taking that number and multiplying, right? So you explain it in a way that makes a ton of sense. So for you, I don't know what ServiceNow developers are. That seems extremely niche, and which is why you might make general news content, something didn't fit. One of those things is I don't know what ServiceNow is. So if I were to go, this is one of those things where I think if you overcomplicate things and make it harder for the average viewer to understand, then you've made it harder to connect with potential viewers. So try not to explain math with math terms. Now, I'm going to look up ServiceNow just so I can find out what ServiceNow is. And let me share this on screen. Hold on one second. Present. Where's my share screen? I'll find it. There you are, you son of a... Okay, so let me put this up here. So ServiceNow, I'm looking right here. What is ServiceNow? ServiceNow optimize productivity, reduce cost, and increase resilience with an IT single play. It's an American software company that develops a cloud computing platform to help manage digital workflows for enterprise operations. All right, so it's a software company that helps basically do enterprise operations. That makes a little more sense to me. If you had said to me that you try to help people who are trying to use cloud-based software to help solve some of their workflow in their businesses, some of their enterprise operations, then it starts to make sense. The minute you use a singular term, you put a barrier to entry, because what if I'm someone who doesn't know that's the right solution for me? What if I'm trying to learn how to do these things that will optimize my workflow using some of the software that's available? What if tomorrow you start talking about a very similar product that isn't named ServiceNow? So really understand who those people are, right? And then try to define them for just what it is they're doing. Like, explain it to me in the simplest of terms. Like, oh, if people are running businesses and they're trying to find the right software to help them, manage their workflow and their operations, this is what I do on my channel. I help them. Specifically right now, I'm talking about this product called ServiceNow. But understanding what the broadest top of the funnel is allows you to reach more people, because if you think it's ServiceNow, then you'll always be using that word ServiceNow in your titles and things like that. And if I don't know what ServiceNow is, I'm not going to click, even if I'm someone who might actually be your target audience, because I don't know the product name. So just think about that. I'm scrolling. The Landlord Advocate says, housing providers, real estate investors, and those looking to learn. Our motto is where we help landlords become better landlords. So this is housing providers, real estate investors, and those looking to learn. I get what you're saying here. But you're saying housing providers. Well, the federal government is housing providers. They have a whole bunch of Section 8 programs that provide housing. So is the federal government your target audience? Probably not. Real estate investors. Okay, perfect. Almost every shark on Shark Tank is some form of a real estate investor. So they're your target audience? Probably not. And those looking to learn. I'm always looking to learn. I'm trying to figure out how to run, Fusion and DaVinci Resolve flawlessly. Can you help me? Probably not. So the definition of how you explain who your target audience is always lets me and the other viewer know exactly who you're trying to reach and if that content is for them. So I think you're close. I think you're circling the target, but it probably has something to do more with people who are people who either own property or are looking to own property as a source of revenue. That's probably my guess, because then it defines, it could be smaller, larger. They can be different sizes, because you're saying houses and real estate investors. It looks like people who are trying to, either, like I said, either own property or look into owning property as a source of revenue. So I'd probably simplify that, because that's going to help me understand when I see your content. Maybe I'm someone who wants to buy some property and invest in it, and but do I specifically want to be a landlord? Because you're the landlord advocates. Maybe I don't. Maybe I want to get into, maybe I want to buy into a complex where I'm technically on paper a landlord, but I'm just an investor. I don't landlord anything. My name's just on the document. I don't run anything. I got someone else doing that, right? Or I'm part of a team, or I'm a co-investor. So always be really careful about who you say your target audience is, and be able to define them. Because if they're different people, then they're going to have different pain points and different needs. Then every time you veer away from that, you might put a piece of content that I'm someone who'd be interested in purchasing looking into how to purchase some real estate, and that would be a good investment property for me that maybe doesn't cost me a ton of money in upkeep to be a landlord. Maybe I'm your guy, but housing providers would push me away. I don't know what housing providers is. Let me keep scrolling here. There's Blaine Locklear. Good morning. Thank you for the $10 super chat, Blaine. Just saw you were live. Thanks for your vigilant work. Help us grow our audiences, our channels, and our influence. Much appreciated. Appreciate you, Blaine. Blaine's a guy who he's on his second channel now. He's got his silver play button. Blaine's one of my coaching clients who's done very well, who really got his channel focused, and he just crushes it. Eric, wait, Whiskey Studios, thanks for this $5 super chat. Can you talk about targeting your audience and production differentiation? I'm communicating to a slightly different audience than other whiskey YouTubers. Yeah, targeting your audience production different. This is what I mean, Eric. In your circumstance, right? You say you're targeting a different audience than other whiskey YouTubers. Perfect. You need to tell me who that is. That's something that should roll off your tongue. If I don't see that immediately, then I will click past it, right? Here's a perfect example. The way you would do production on something. Say I'm your target audience. Say I'm someone, I enjoy whiskey, right? I know a handful of whiskey brands. I know the ones that I've liked, and I enjoy discovering new whiskeys, right? So maybe your target audience is me. Maybe it's people who enjoy whiskey and are always on the lookout for that next great whiskey, right? Maybe that's, instead of just teach people all about whiskey. Maybe it's more targeted than that. Maybe it really is people who are looking for that next great whiskey. Well, what's the difference there? The difference would be if you made a video that was like the Dalmore 12-year, single barrel, whatever you did. It's very focused on the product. And instead, if you understand who your target audience is, then you can make a different video. You can focus the same type of information, but you can focus it towards the person you're trying to reach. Instead of just focusing on the product, here's the whiskey, let me tell you about the name and the title, and it's all very search-centric. What you can do is you can pivot that, and you can say, well, wait a minute, I know that my target audience is people who probably have some whiskey on their own. They might have 2 bottles, they might have 200 bottles, but they love whiskey, they like whiskey, they enjoy whiskey. They're always on the lookout for that next great whiskey tasting, that next great bottle of whiskey that they'd like to pick up themselves. Well, that means you can change the way you start making your titles for your videos. And you can say things like, if you're, looking for that next great bottle of whiskey, looking for that next great bottle of whiskey in the $70 price range, that could be the title. You could not even name the whiskey, right? You could just show it in the thumbnail, and now you can start triggering me based on what you know about me. I know he's a guy who likes whiskey. I know he's always they're probably always keep an eye out for another great whiskey. Maybe I know a little bit more about if they're, single malt, or if they're, double barreled or 12-year-old, and you can start triggering me based on those things, saying, if this is the thing you're looking for, you might want to check this out. And that makes me click, because you're not leveraging the name of the whiskey and all these things that I may not know. You're leveraging what's important to me as your target audience. Someone who really enjoys whiskey is always on the lookout for that next great bottle of whiskey. Now that can start representing itself in your titles. Now that can start representing itself in your thumbnails. Now it can start representing it in the production and the way you build that content. You don't just start with, this is the 12-year-old, blah, blah, and make it sound like a commercial. You would start the other way, and you go, well, that's what's going to trigger them. You can say, listen, there's a lot of great whiskeys out there, and some of them get pretty pricey. But right in that $70 range, you can find some real great bottles of whiskey. And this one today that I'm talking about is probably my favorite that I've seen in the last 6 weeks. And then you go into it and you start, because you're leveraging the fact that I'm on the lookout for the next great one, and you're talking to me, right? And you've said, if you're looking for that next, and you led with that instead of leading with, here's the thing, here's the thing, here's the thing, you led with our interest. You started with a conversation. And I think that's where you can really change. If you know who you're trying to reach, it can change your titles, it can change your thumbnails, and it can change the way you do the production of your videos. Let's see. Just reading through here. I believe my target audience is males, again, age 13 to 40, that are interested in video games with some gross out and slapstick humor. Okay, so I'm interested in video games, I guess, but I'm 56, so there's no way. You've just told me no one over 40 watch your content. So again, with the putting in demographics, I think demographics is one of those things that's much farther down the pipeline when you're really trying to get super analytical about the psychographics of who your target audience is. But I think right off the bat, you're telling me it's like people who like video games that some gross out and some funny and some gross. Yeah, but why? Why am I watching you haven't told me why I'm watching your content, right? You didn't give me any why. It's like me saying my channel's for people who like horror books, horror stories. Okay, like novels, horror novels. Okay, that's great, but why? So I like them. So what? That's like having a channel that says for people who like Star Wars. Okay, well I like Star Wars. I'll just watch Star Wars. I don't need to watch your channel. You got to give me a reason beyond. Oh, you like that? Yeah, I do. Cool. Well, why? Why would I watch you? What is it you're going to do there? What happens in your videos? Why would be why is the reason that I would watch? Are you showing me the, the grossest, it's like the grossest video games on the market? Is it extremes? Is it an idea of finding the outliers of video games and going, hey, we're not here really out so much about gameplay. We're not really here about teaching you tricks. We're here to show you some of the craziest games out there. Like this is the grossest. That's the funniest. Now you're looking for more of the emotional reactions from some of these things. And then you can start using some of those pieces to say, here, let me show you. And if that's the case, then you need to show me just the grossest moments and you need to set it up well. And you have to say things like, I thought the killing scene in the last, GTA was pretty gross, but it is nothing compared to what they just got released the other, and then you start leveraging things that based on that interest, that conversation. So dial that in. I'm still going on this list. Okay, I'm still going. Eric, I already talked to you. I love you, Eric. I already went through this one. I'm going to scroll. Daniel needs to scroll. I know who I want to target, but looking at my data, it's not there. I'm targeting Gen Z, who now are living away from home first and learning to manage their own space. Forget about the demographics. Stick to conversation, Sue. When you're going to do this, you want to say, make sure it's true. Is it people who are living away from home for the first time and learning to manage their own space? Are you sure that's what it is? Because your channel says homekeeping channel, and that doesn't scream to me, first time living away, learning to manage your own space. It does say homekeeping. I'm not saying it's too far off, but it seems like it's more like how to take care of your house. So let me just pull your channel up really quickly here, Sue, so that I can take a quick peek, and we'll just sort of get an idea of what some of the targets are that you're using in your channel. Let me go up top here. There we go. Let me pull this out. All right. So here it says helping you clean and organize your home one step at a time. So that doesn't scream the thing you said. That doesn't scream first time Gen Z. What do I care? If they're not Gen Z, they can't have a messy home that they're trying to learn how to keep tidy, that they're trying to find a better way to organize. So I don't know that. I think that when you're getting into the psychographics and saying, I'm hoping to reach these people, sometimes you can hurt yourself. If you say it's got to be Gen Zs, well, maybe they're just people who have trouble keeping organized, right? And they're trying to get a clean and organized home. So maybe the true target audience is people who have their own home, but struggle to keep it clean and organized, right? If you said that to me, people who struggle to keep their home clean and organized, then that's a different thing, right? Because then if you say up in your channel art, helping you clean and organize your home one step at a time, now I know that channel art makes a ton of sense with your value prop because it's for people who struggle with keeping their home clean and organized. Now it doesn't have to be about Gen Z. Now it doesn't have to be about first time home, second time home. I've been messy in many houses. It didn't have to be the first one. So that's where you want to start thinking about trying to make sure that you build that way. And again, when you say things like, when you start building every piece of the puzzle in here, thinking about that, homekeeping channel's most recent videos, how does that help me understand who this is for? It doesn't, because what it should say is things that are going to help me clean and organize my home one step at a time. Instead of homekeeping channels, most recent videos, which means nothing to me, I can find all those by clicking on the video tab. Video tab puts them all in order, most recent. Even separates them by shorts, lives, anything else. So I don't need that. But what I might need here, Sue, is something like the fastest way or the easiest way to keep that messy kitchen clean keep that messy kitchen clean. That might be enough, right? What am I missing?
You want to pause the audio on that?
Oh, sorry. Is it playing?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I didn't hear it. My bad. Didn't know that was coming through. Thank you, Megan. That's what I have Megan for. So what you want to think about here is, does this speak to the idea of keeping that messy kitchen clean? Because what are all the things that someone thinks about, Sue, when they're thinking about someone who struggles to keep their home clean and organized? Like trying to keep those, if you can make titles that go, tired of having laundry stack up week after week? Right? Now you start talking about the things, what are their pain points? Always have laundry stacked up. My kitchen's always a mess. I always have dishes in the sink. The bathroom's always got hair and stuff all over it. You can start making videos that target those things that those people are thinking. I wish, people who don't care about keeping it clean won't watch. But people who wake up every day, I'm one of those people, when my house is messy, drives me insane. Megan will tell you, when we go on a trip, the last thing we do before we leave, we spend the day completely scrubbing the house, because I don't like coming home to even anything, a dish in the sink, unmopped floor. It just makes me anxious. So we always make sure we leave the house spotless clean and then come back to spotless house. So those are the kind of things, thinking about the pain points of those viewers. Let me see here. Target audience. This is Hey Drew. Beanie lovers, kidding. After our last serious exchange, I've started thinking that X Factor audience kind of makes more sense. That's not your target audience. Your target audience is not the X Factor audience. You need to understand who your target audience is, Drew. It's not the X Factor's audience. It's not, my audience is the same as Nick Nimen's audience. That's not the answer. The answer is, tell me who those people are and why they'd watch your content, right? Maybe your target audiences could be people who are interested in hearing unique and stylized cover songs of some of the popular music that they love. Maybe that's it. I think that's a tough play, because I think selling covers is just hard. But maybe it's people who are interested in let me before I go too far with this, I'm going to ask a question in chat. I want to see what there he is. Okay. I want to ask this question in chat before I go farther with Drew. In the chat, how many of you have seen the show Deadliest Catch on the Discovery Channel? Where they all go out crab fishing on those boats. Can anyone tell me who the target audience is for Deadliest Catch? Just write it into the chat. Tell me the Deadliest Catch's target audience. Who's the target audience for that content? Let me see how close you can get. Because I think sometimes one of the things I'll tell you all day long is I think it's much harder to see in ourselves what we can spot in others. A lot of times we can look at something else and find, either flaws or find where things are being done right. But when we look at our own stuff, our perspective gets skewed. And that's one of the reasons why I want to talk about target audiences today, because I think sometimes we don't see it in ourselves. We don't see what we're missing. We don't see where we're coming up short or where we might be a little vague. So let me just see what, who watches Deadliest Catch here. It says, men who dream of adventure and women who want to look at real men. Okay. That's Deadliest Catch. I think that was my first wife. That's a catch and release program. Was that what that was, Eric? Never seen it, Daniel. Well, that's one of those things. Let me see. Let's see. Yep. Seen it. Loved it. I'm well into fishing. All right. But you didn't tell me who the target audience is. Trying to see. Deadliest Catch is entertaining and educational-ish. Still didn't tell me who the target audience is. Crabs. Right? Genius. No, people wanting to see adventure via reality. Very close here. Very close here, right? Adventure seekers, high salary rewards. I would say incorrect. If you're asserting that people who seek adventure are the people who watch that show, I'm going to tell you all day long, most of the people who watch that show will never try something like that. Never, ever. And they can be people who are sitting on their couch. They're sitting on their couch at home, never planning on doing anything other than getting up, going to work, or could be retired. It's not adventure seekers. There may be adventure seekers in that crowd who find that exhilarating, but that's not who the target audience is. Bored people, people who have boards, 2x4s, 1x8s. $30 Canadian super chat. You generously gave me a free consultation. I made all the corrections you advised, and I made the local news with my silly videos twice. Congratulations on that. I still struggle with target audience, but I'm working on it. Thank you, Daniel. Leave this up here for a minute. Let me say it. Yes, I think one of the things you want to think about, like Deadliest Catch, let me just talk about that for a second. I would tell you that the target audience for Deadliest Catch, if I was handing it to YouTubers and told them about the show, yeah, they go out on ships and they catch crab. I always said, I made a joke that I think if YouTubers got their hands on Deadliest Catch, they'd ruin it, because they turn it into a show called How to Catch Alaskan King Crab Catching Tips. Which is exactly wrong. It's not to teach anyone about crab. It's not for thrill seekers. It's for people who want to experience the journey vicariously of brave souls who are actually out there working for a living at one of the deadliest jobs on the planet. Period. That they are. That's what it is, right? Because if it's only about catching the crab, then every time they pulled up an empty crab pot, the show would tank. Right? It's not about that. It's about understanding that people are there for the journey. The crab is just the vehicle, right? That's the story. It's the people, the story, and it's the journey of these guys that you get to know because they're unified in their experience of going out in these frigid Alaskan waters. Many of them, they have several fishermen die every year doing what they do. It is deadly. That's why they call it Deadliest Catch. So the experience from the safety of your own couch, watching these guys get out there and put their lives on the line just to make a living at one of the deadliest jobs on the planet, that's why people watch. That's why people watch. They get invested in them. They want to see them succeed. They want to be miserable with them when they pull up empty pots. They want to feel the pain when one of them gets, smashed by a 800-pound crab pot or whatever they weigh. They all that drama around it. It's not about how to put, put bait inside of a crab pot and put it over the side of a boat. It's following the journey of these guys, and it's that experience that's important. So when we get back to your channel, which is great, right? Yeah, let me say it. I'm glad you're doing so well. You still struggle with let me just see what you're at now. Let me say it. Let me pull this up. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, let me pull your channel up here and we'll take a quick peek again, see where you're at. I review difficult English words to improve my pronunciation and that of other non-native English speakers, right? I think you can condense this. I think this is close. So you're trying to help non-native English speakers learn how to pronounce some of these more difficult English words, right? Or how to pronounce English words in general. And that's what you'll be focusing on. So it's not so much definitions, though that's probably in there, but you're helping people learn how to say these tougher words. So learn how to pronounce. One of the things I would tell you that you're missing, if it's always just learning how to pronounce, you're going to struggle. If it's always just learn how to pronounce this, learn how to pronounce this, learn how to pronounce this, learn how to pronounce this. If every video keeps talking about learn how to pronounce, then it's too limited, in my opinion. I think it's just a pronunciation channel. There's a great pronunciation channel that's called, what's it called? Dang it, I'm going to forget it. There's one that's, that it mispronounces words and phrases intentionally, and that's the whole joke. It just takes like words and then completely mispronounces them as a joke, and they're all real short videos. There has to be more than just how to pronounce the words, right? It has to go into like instead of saying how to pronounce, you should be making videos for those people that are trying to like learn the pronunciations. What are they wrestling with? What are their pain points, right? If you just keep saying how to pronounce, what are their pain points? Their pain points are things like they're trying to learn English, but some of the words are spelled identically, but then they're pronounced differently. You know, why is deaf, leaf, are spelled virtually the same, but pronounced different? So then you can start leveraging what's in their head. 3 words that are spelled the same but pronounced differently. Or like read and read are the same exact spelling but pronounced differently based on how they're used in a sentence. So when you can take it to the next level and start talking about words that are spelled exactly the same but pronounced differently. 3 words that are pronounced exactly the same, are spelled exactly the same but pronounced completely differently. That's going to get top of the funnel. Now you've spoken to the viewer. You've spoken to that target audience member who goes, yeah, I've seen that. I'm trying to learn these words. I'm trying to learn the second language. And I don't understand why I say read, but then they said, no, that was read. I read a book. No, you read a book. Well, can I read a book? You know, and then trying to explain not only how they're pronounced, but why they're pronounced that way. And it's sort of like explaining, it's all focused around the pronunciation and the quirks of the English language. Now that can be something that's more powerful than just every week saying, here's a word, here's how to pronounce it. Glad to see you've been doing really well though. I love it. Start pushing it out. Start going more top of the funnel if you can. I'm kicking around here. I'm bouncing back and forth. People like seeing other folks grappling with life and death problems. That's very close to it. We talking about Deadliest Catch there? Yeah. It's with people who like experiencing what it's like to work at one of the deadliest jobs on the planet. That's what it is. Vicariously living through them. Yeah, people who like to fish. That one. People like to fish, right? I love that show. I hate to fish. So it's not people who like to fish, but that's an easy mistake to make, right? You have to like to fish to like Deadliest Catch. Nope. Why do people watch Pawn Stars, right? Be people who want to sell things at a pawn shop. I've never sold a thing at a pawn shop. People who want to buy things at a pawn shop. I've never bought anything at a pawn shop. No, that's not true. I think I bought a pair of speakers 100 years ago. So you got to understand deeper. Don't think surface level. People don't watch Deadliest Catch because they like to fish. That's the wrong answer. And if you only started targeting people who wanted to fish, how to catch king crab, that show would tank, because it's not about teaching people how to fish, and it's not made for people who like to fish. Though people who like to fish might be part of the audience, but they aren't the target audience. The same way my target audience is people who are trying to make videos specifically to put onto YouTube so that they can grow a channel, right? So some of those people they might also like to fish. Maybe they have a fishing channel, but that doesn't mean that that's who I'm trying to target. The primary thing is, listen, I don't care what color you are. I don't care what race you are. I don't care what religion, sex, age. If you're someone who's trying to make videos, not to start a videography business, I'm not your guy for that. If you're making videos so that you can put them onto YouTube, and then and not just putting them onto YouTube for the fun of it, some people might learn some stuff from me, but that's not my target audience, specifically to grow an audience around that content, right? Make it, put it onto YouTube, try to grow a channel. That's who I'm reaching out to. And the only things that would define them, like it would help if you speak English, because that's the language I speak. But other than that, it's really interest-based, and that's what you want to think about. What's the interest-based? Because if I know who my target audience is, I know what they're wrestling with, trying to find the right video editing software to make those videos, how to learn how to upload a video and optimize it. How do I make thumbnails for my videos? I do all that stuff, but then my videos aren't getting any views. How do I get these videos that I work so hard on to start connecting with people out there? That's what we're in this part of the conversation today. So understanding your target audience as interest-based, not demographics, not race, not age, not any of those. Interest. Why? What's the common interest that we share? That's when you can really start triggering those people based on the things that you know about them just from the conversation, right? You know that people are interested in this one thing. There's going to be pain points. There's going to be things that trigger them, people that get them excited, right? That's why, if Deadliest Catch is going to make an episode, it's going to be, one of the episodes that's going to do really well for them is when someone gets hurt badly, or when they have a record catch, or when one of the ships goes down, or the engines, or they have to have a rescue at sea, right? Things that all have to do with the adventure of this very high stakes, deadly job. right? The episodes that are going to do really well for them is when huge storms come in, because now they're facing this giant storm while trying to do that job. They know how to make the content and edit those shows in a way that if they just showed them every day when it was on a bright, like, oh, it's a bad weather out today, don't film, that's dangerous, let's wait till a nice calm day and we'll just show them catching the crab, no one would care. It's not about that, right? So that's the same thing you want to think about on your own target audience. I'm looking around here. Brian's Thailand. Thank you for the super sticker, my friend. I appreciate that. Much appreciated. I'm letting Megan pull up some comments here for me because I'm slow. Let me see. One thing that really surprised me with my audience is that my channel's 70% female audience, mostly over the age of 40, trying to figure out why. I don't always believe the data from YouTube, and it's not that I don't believe it. I think it rounds it in a weird way, and I think you have to remember that it pulls the data based on who set up the account. That's like if you go onto a kid's channel, it's like, oh, the majority of the audience is, 50% of them are, 40-year-old dads. Why are 40-year-old dads watching kid content? They're not. The kids are using their account. That's who signed up, and that's the demographics that YouTube is pulling. So what I would try to understand is more about who's actually connecting with your content. So if it's Nicholas Starro, Union Rep Labor Law. Okay, that's a long name. So you are a union representative, but then it says labor law. So what I'd be asking Nicholas, like, what's your channel about? Is it all about teaching people how to unionize, teaching people how to, put together, develop a union try to organize labor practices, so things that you can, you can actually start trying to get more out of the companies by pooling the workforce and seeing if you can start a union or what it's like to work for a union. So that's this union rep labor law. I'm not quite exactly sure what's going on in there. I'm going to try to find it quickly and see if I can see. Because right off the bat, you've got a lot going on. Union rep labor, like it's a law, is it lawyer, is it union? I'm not quite exactly sure. Let me see. I'm going to come over here to your About tab, and I'm going to put this up on screen just so I can see it, pal. It says, 30 years in the trade union, regional and national negotiator, 10 years as head of union, 3 years as documents. And here's the problem. Your channel, to me, reads like a business card. It doesn't read to me what's in it for me. This makes it sound like this is like a business card, a brochure. This is a big mistake a lot of creators make. What they don't do is go out of their way to make sure to say, it's great to know about you, but what you're not telling is what's in it for me. Like, why would I watch this content? You're just telling me your background, and that is it. That's all you gave me. When I go to videos, let me see what you got. Then this is all supposed to be about union labor laws. Come enjoy a sunrise with me. No ads in video. What does enjoying a sunrise have to do with union reps and labor law? Tate can't handle 105-degree warm room. What? Like, I don't know what that has to do with unionizing and labor laws. Is this Andrew Tate, that sort of alpha male guy? What has he got to do with union? And as I'm coming down here, then it's a trial. Now you've got the Zakaria Anderson trial, a mock defense closing arguments. I don't know what these things. Unedited coffee and cigar rant. The U.S. and EU is subsidizing climate industry. This is the thing, my man. What I would tell you is, if you're trying to grow this channel, which you may not be, you might just be having fun. Some people just have fun. But if you're trying to grow it, then you have to be specific to what it is. It looks like it looked like, what I was reading, that you were based in Europe and you were a European Union worker rep. Then you should be helping people who are interested in joining the European Union, or what rights they have, or organized labor, or laws that might be coming down the pipeline that could threaten unionized workers. Instead, you've got Amber Heard stuff on your channel. It's just like, it's all over the place. You're trying to be all things that are interesting to you. And of course, if someone might watch your Amber Heard video if that trial's trending, but then they have no reason to watch the next video you put out next week, and all you've done is you've helped YouTube get even more confused than it was prior to that video. Make content if you want to grow the channel. If you're just enjoying making content, have at it. But if you're trying to grow the channel, really think about who you're trying to reach and why they'd want to come back to your channel week after week. There's got to be a common interest, a common thread, a common conversation that isn't just stuff I like to talk about. Otherwise, people won't come back. They won't. I mean, you're gonna struggle. You're gonna constantly be making more and more videos, and you'll go, it's really hard for me to break 1,000 views, and I don't know why. I think I'm making good content, and it has to do with how unstructured that is. And you're making different things every day. It's like today, welcome to the restaurant. Today we're making pizza. Tomorrow we're making pottery. Like I'm here to eat. What is pottery? So if you throw it off too much, it's always going to be like I don't go to that. I don't see the reason for me to come back. There's no consistent targeting of a very specific audience that would make me want to come back. So work on trying to dial in what the value prop is, who you're trying to reach, and that will help you decide what tomorrow's video will be. If you want to grow the channel. Like I said, if you don't, have fun. The good old days of just having fun. Awesome, Daniel. That just gave me some clarity for my channel. I help content creators how to make their mark. It's a journey about micro-entrepreneur, taking the journey from a micro-entrepreneur to the next level. Yeah, that's a great idea. So LBC branding, if you were able to say to me, if you're someone who's trying to if you're a tiny entrepreneur who's trying to take your, maybe it's online business. You should probably, most businesses online anyway, to the next level. Then if you said to me, hey, and maybe part of that is your own journey, that you, through what you're going through, that you're giving examples through your daily grind, but maybe it is that the target audience you're trying to reach are very small, tiny entrepreneurs who are trying to find ways to take their business to the next level. Then I know exactly who your target audience is, and I know exactly what I expect the content to be like. It should be talking about those journeys. Maybe there's some strategic tips along the way. Maybe that you give us some lessons about some of the biggest mistakes you made that almost bankrupt your small business, right? So things like that, when you start giving pros and cons, because you know the things that might trigger me. What am I looking for, right? How I was able to 2x my business growth in a year with one simple change, right? And you set up a video that goes like, wow, this is one thing I did. Now I want to watch the video because I'm trying to 2x my growth. What did you do? What was the tip? What was the thing that you did? And maybe that brings me in because of what you know about me. Maybe I'm another small business looking to grow too, and looking for the path and tips and strategies from someone who's walking the path as well. Let me see. I'm just kind of going through. YouTube newbie, only 30 videos and 182 subs. Hey, nothing wrong with 182 subs. Imagine having 182 people come knock on your door one day. That'd be like a tsunami of people. I have pivoted my channel to cooking and kitchen organization, with so much competition, trying to narrow it down to my target audience. Yeah, it says Life's a Journey with Melissa Diane. So Melissa, I don't know if your name is Melissa or you go by Melissa Diane, but I'll call you Melissa. I hope that's not offensive. What you want to think about is, kitchen organization and cooking is kind of two different things. It's two different things. Like, I could be someone that's like, my job is, I'm just having trouble keeping my house organized. I want to make sure I can organize the kitchen. Oh, I don't cook. Megan does all the cooking. Make sure, she just probably has a thought in her head like, I'm doing all the cooking now? How do I get locked into that deal? But what you want to think about is who you trying to reach. And if it's people that are cooking, if you've pivoted towards cooking, leave the kitchen organization out. That might be a subplot in there, that while you're cooking and you're trying to make it easier to cook, it helps to have a certain organization. Then the organization should be built around the cooking. Maybe there is a video or two that's like keeping your kitchen organized makes cooking every meal simpler, faster, and more effective, or whatever the thing is, right? So maybe there is, but that's not the main thing. Find the main thing. And if you are just a cooking channel, then represent that. Life's a Journey with Melissa Diane says to me, I have no idea what that sounds like. It sounds like all about you, and it doesn't sound like all about me, right? It doesn't sound... I'm a fan of, if you're going to brand your channel, do one of two things. Typically... if you're going to use your name, use your name. If it's Melissa Diane, that's how I named my channel. I was thinking someday, when I started the channel, if I ever end up, like on a stage in front of a bunch of people and giving presentations, do I want to be introduced as name of guy that you don't know from channel that you do know. Oh yeah, channel. I know the channel. Now I know who you are. Or do I just want to be introduced as me? Do I always want people to know me as Daniel? And I made the decision to go with that because I was balancing between creator conversations where I talk about all this creator journey stuff or Daniel Batal. And I thought at the end, I played around with both and I said, I think just me. I think I'm just going to go with my name. But if I wasn't going to go with my name, I would go with something that made it simple and easy for someone to understand what the channel was about. If I'm going to brand it, then I want it to be, I want it to be Dunkin' Donuts or Longhorn Steakhouse. I want someone to read the brand. Not that I want my channel to be either of those, but it would be nice to have a Dunkin' Donuts here though, Megan. Can we install one of those and drive through, have people come around?
Yes, please.
I want people to see the name and in an instant understand either it's a person or it's a brand that I can understand the brand. So Life's a Journey with Melissa Diane doesn't tell me anything. So I'd think about chopping that name down and maybe either going with your own name or if it is a cooking channel and you want to play a little bit of the both, then you could come up with something that does that, that leans into the cooking. But I'm always thinking about like that last channel we looked at. He was helping people create some of their favorite takeout meals at home. Very niche down, very figured out, right? Knows exactly, no, I'm not here trying to, figure out people. I'm trying to show people how to make, gourmet meals for their family at the holidays. That's not really my focus. It's really people who are interested in all that great takeout food, the things that you love when you go out to eat or you bring it home. I'm going to show you how to make all those things at home. Very stylized, very specific, and gives me a reason to come back. Like if he shows me how to make something great that I like ordering from one restaurant, maybe he's going to show me also how to make like the, hot and sour soup exactly like hot and sour soup exactly like your favorite, homemade hot and sour soup exactly like your favorite Chinese restaurant. I would go, cool, that would get me, right? Because it would spell out the idea that it's not just homemade hot and sour soup, it's exactly like your favorite Chinese restaurant, meaning, he's replicating that takeout stuff that I like. So think about that when you try to dial in that focus. I'm scrolling around. Super sticker, how to extreme. Thank you for the £5. Yes, pounds. Euro, pound. That's a pound. I will get the pound and the euro figured out because there's a separation now. I'm so used to seeing euro. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Just scrolling around. My Aussie Garden and Kitchen. Great name. My target audiences are homesteaders, home cooks, and home gardeners. And the comments I get are amazing, but I just can't get out there to be seen enough. Plugging away one day at a time. Yeah, my Aussie Garden, home gardeners, home cooks, and homesteaders, dial that in. You're subcategorizing unnecessarily. So what I think it is homesteaders who want to grow and cook, grow the food right? There's a line in there. People who want to, do you have to say homesteaders? Maybe, it depends because it's garden and kitchen. It really feels like grow it and cook it. Grow it and cook it. Right, yeah. So it's people who want to grow their own ingredients and cook, grow their own ingredients to cook fabulous meals at home. Do I have to be a homesteader? Are you focusing more on homesteading? Because then if you start, or is it more really like it says, my Aussie Garden and Kitchen says garden and kitchen. It says when you spoke here, home cooks and home gardeners, sounds like gardens and kitchens. But then homesteaders gets thrown in, and I go, well, I'm not a homesteader. Like I'm not trying to collect my own rainwater so that stuff, if that gets posted to me after I really enjoyed a couple of videos you made showing me how to, plant and raise a certain great, garden that will give me the great salads all year round, that kind of thing. Oh, that's great. I want that. That's something I want. But then you talk about how to build a shed or a lean-to or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to watch that. That's not what I'm here for. So be careful about who you're serving. Make sure it's very specific. Get it more. Can't just say my audience, homesteaders, home cooks, God. It shouldn't be titles. You should be able to say to me, my target audience is people who, and then fill in the blank. People who, give me the other thing. People who are trying to, people who are interested in, people who have struggled with, people who can't, who never seem to find. Give me the interest, not just the titles. Okay, that's going to help you really define all the other things on your channel. Let me see. I'm just trying to read as fast as I can. How could you find your target audience when you do content as a whole? For example, upload a variety of games. So what would it's hard to say. Variety channels are dead, unfortunately, on YouTube. There was a time back 2006 to 2012 that variety channels would do fine because people were like, oh my God, what is this? People are on YouTube and they're just making videos and like you can go watch them. And they thought that was crazy because it was a time when, television was the thing. So to think that you go to the internet and people would just, you could get this sort of voyeuristic look into people's lives. But nowadays, variety channels as a whole are a poor bet because YouTube has become much more stylized. It's a lot much more like Netflix, right? Any of you Netflix watchers out there, if you watch something on Netflix, Netflix immediately starts going, because you watched, and it'll give you a whole list of other movies that it thinks you might be interested in. It's constantly learning what to serve you based on trending topics and what you've watched in the past. That's what and then it tries to categorize movies into horror, science fiction, drama, comedy, right? Separate them so that the right audiences can find what they like quickly. You can't be Netflix in that sense, but you can be a subcategory. You can say, well, this is what I do here, right? If you said you upload a variety of games, makes no sense to me. So I'm guessing you're a gamer. So if you're a gamer, maybe, let me see if I can find the channel quickly. If you're a gamer, then I would say, why would someone, K-Skis, am I saying that right? K-Skis. Okay, I will spell this right yet. Getting old sucks, K-Skis. Why would someone watch your content? I'm guessing you're a gamer. Let me pull this up here. So enjoy your time watching as I play a variety of games when I have time. That's a value prop. Hey, listen, I want you to sit back and enjoy watching me play a game. But God, I'm not gonna, it could be any game. But I'm only gonna do it when I have time. Well, man, you've hooked me with that sales pitch. Think about how many times this is like every girl out there will tell you, because like a lot when I was growing up, like the guys were more gamers than the girls I knew. And now every time the guys would get together and do some gaming, like we'd play games where we could like throw the remote at each other. If there was a girlfriend in the room, they would sit and watch for about a second and go, yeah, I'm bored. I'm out of here. I guess I'm going to go out with my friends. Nobody wants to watch anyone play a game unless you're a phenomenal gamer, which means you have to be better than everybody, which there's only a few of those in the world. Or you have a hook to the reason why they would want to watch you play. Maybe it's you're playing games. There has to be a reason, like who's the target audience. If you know the target audience and why they would watch, then you know what kind of content to make. Maybe it's your target audience is, it has to be something more than just people watching you play games. Why would they watch you play games? Are you going to show them tips and tricks to break through like levels they're stuck at? Is this going to be like, yeah, you play different games, but it's like, how to beat levels on certain games, or how to, do things that are like you can find certain weapons in certain games. So there has to be a reason. Why? Well, I'll help you crack some of these levels open on some of these games that you may get stuck on. All right. Well, if that's that's might be a reason. I think it's still super competitive. I think gaming is so competitive that you really need to stick out. You really need to set yourself aside, or you're constantly going to be putting up videos and struggling to get 1,000 views. And it looks like you've got a similar thing, right? A month ago, 19 views. A month ago, 3 views. 6 months ago, 5 views, right? Because what's the reason? You got to give more to it, right? And sometimes the reason with gaming can be the silliest things. Some of the Minecraft stuff that's taking off right now is because people are going, well, how do you break through in Minecraft? And some of the stuff that really started cracking through is, well, let's take that Minecraft game that everybody knows and let me mess with people's heads or give them something unexpected, not just how to play Minecraft, watch me play Minecraft, let's play. That's about the worst way to grow. But look at this. Here's one day ago, 50 dumb ways to die in Minecraft. So the entire video is going to be the dumbest way, 50 dumb ways to die in a game you know. And it's probably bang, 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 all these quick, that's a pretty dumb way to die. So it's a twist on it, right? It sort of highlights this one thing that you might find humorous, like, this is 50 dumb ways to die in YouTube. How about this? Minecraft, but everything I touch turns futuristic, right? So there's a twist to it, right? That's how everything they touch turns futuristic. So it's like, what? So it's a different twist. I've seen some that are like Minecraft, but I only walk in a straight line, right? So they just keep going, just keep going straight, and it's like, well, that's incredible. That's stupid. You're going to eventually run into something that's going to kill you. So the idea is watch a game that you know. The guy goes, nope, I'm just going to keep walking in a straight line. I survived 100 days as a diamond dinosaur in hardcore Minecraft. So there's like, you're playing to the knowledge of the people and saying, well, what feels different to them? What's something they don't see every day? What's something that would trigger them because they go, oh, that's different, right? I've never seen it done that way. Minecraft, but I can only step on gold squares, or anything that changes that up, that makes it interesting and different. So you're going, my target audience are people who love this game, but I'm going to try to hit them with things. The target audience is people who are Minecraft enthusiasts. But you're trying to trigger them based on things that they may never have seen. As much as they enjoy the game or play the game, things that I'm coming at a new angle, right? That's very true in a lot of different ways, where you'll see people go like, I tried to, travelers. I tried to survive in New York for a month on only $25 a day, right? Now it's a whole different thing. Like, whoa, that's like a budget traveler. Or I tried to travel France for a month on only $10 a day. Well, now there's a story. There's like, man, I'd love to see France. Can you really exist in France for a month? Can you go travel around for $10 a day? So when you take it to another level, other than just, hey, I traveled to France. If there's more compelling nature, it gives people a reason to engage with it. Same with gaming. If you're going to do gaming, give them a reason. Otherwise, you're just playing and people are going to go, yeah, whatever, he plays the game. And there's no reason for them to come back. I'm kind of rolling through here. Keto Simple. Trying to reach out to your target audience as well as growing that audience is the $1 billion goal. It sure is. Sure is. Every single day. And then learning how to not just get the audience to follow you for the thing, but then trying to learn to communicate with the audience so that hopefully over time they become invested in you. I put out a video the other day that's doing okay. I think it's probably, well, I'll check real quickly. Where did it end up? It's probably around 10,000 views in a couple of days, I guess. Maybe, I'll tell you in a second. Just right about 9,000 views from 3 days ago. So it's not a huge performing channel, but it's doing well. It's moving nicely. And it was all about the idea of I stopped using Filmora and I started using DaVinci Resolve. Now, I could have made a video that said Filmora versus DaVinci Resolve, which is better, right? The shootout. But then it would have been all about the thing. Then it would have been all about the software. And that's not my journey. My journey is telling stories, is not only helping creators and empowering creators, but doing it by referencing my own journey. And in this, I instead of titling it that, I titled it The Real Reason That I Switched from Filmora to DaVinci Resolve. Because a lot of people knew the saga that had happened with me when it came to the Filmora licensing mess. Right. So when all that mess happened, I said, well, people understood and they thought that I left because I was mad at Filmora. And that wasn't it at all. That wasn't, I was a little put off by the way they handled things, but they came around and honored all the licenses. But everyone had these different ideas that, I was mad at Filmora or this, and that wasn't it at all. It came down to, I had outgrown the software and I wanted to talk about sort of, finding the right software and when the software is the right, how to find the right software for you. For some people, Filmora is just perfect. For me, it just wasn't anymore. So I wanted to have a conversation, but it wasn't about just the thing. It was the real reason I switched was how the title started. So it leveraged me and then the thing, not the thing only. Yes, Megan.
Can we just give a shout out to Doug and Heidi for sharing a couple of memberships, and you want to welcome the new members?
Oh, sweet. Did you pop them up there?
They won't pop up there.
Oh, they won't pop up here? All right, so Doug and Heidi sent out some new memberships, and those are basically anyone who claims them. So anybody, thank you, Heidi, and thank you, Doug. That's awesome. I'm trying to see all these along the way. I'm behind on some of the comments. But yeah, if you become a new member, that's great with those. They've shared them out. If you claim them, that means you can join the membership for that period of time. And if you do become a member, head over to the memberships tab of my channel. And in the memberships tab, you will see, it says see perks info, and you will be able to see there's an access to get into my Facebook group. All you got to do is follow the directions there, which is pretty much take your channel name or URL and post it up. We'll let you into the group. And welcome to the memberships. Thank you, Heidi. Thank you, Doug. That was very sweet of you. The group's great. We have a great group. We do very in-depth members-only stuff, members-only live streams, members-only content, members-only groups, where we do this stuff, but much smaller groups so that we can super dive into individual channels. Let's see. Game Master. Well, imagine if you uploaded videos whenever you wanted and still get attention. Yeah. The only way you can get views is to be original. Do something that hasn't been done before. That's very true. I think the kind of caveat to that is if you've built an audience, if you've gone through the journey, like you look at someone like Jimmy, Mr. Beast, who, he put up an insane amount of videos and got nowhere he had tons of videos up and he didn't get any traction, finally found his groove and it took him a decade to get where he is. But now, he's building content, like huge budget, ton of time, a lot of investment and effort. But there's a thing that comes with when people become invested in you. It's a little easier to pivot, like you say, videos whenever you want kind of thing. Being original, absolutely. I think not so much, I wouldn't use the word original, though that's a good word. Absolutely, if you can be original. I think we've gotten to the point, Game Master, where John Lennon, there's nothing you can sing that can't be sung. It's kind of the way YouTube is. It's all out there. It's if someone's already done it. There's probably nothing completely original, but what you can be is unique, right? And you can be authentic, and you can be different than the other thing. Instead of being a carbon copy of the thing you've seen, like what's your channel about? Oh, I play games. So what? What makes you any different? There's a million of those. So the thing that makes you stand out, that makes you unique, maybe you have a unique personality. Maybe if you're a gamer, you're an 86-year-old grandmother, and you're out there, or maybe you always game with your 86-year-old grandmother, and that's your thing. And it's really funny watching her struggle to try to learn these games. And she's always your partner, right? Like she's always your partner when you always do, team combat games, and you're always playing it with your 86-year-old grandmother. Then it's something that's fun because people can go like, I really get invested in the people because the conversation, laughing, the family, watching poor grandma, try to figure out these games could be great. But that's the whole thing, right? There's more than just the thing. So uniqueness, I think, and authenticity is huge. Kind of scrolling through here. Yeah, we do have some new members popping up. Life's a Journey. Boom, boom. Welcome. Make sure you go to the memberships tab. Click on the perks. Let me see. I'm just kind of scrolling here quickly. Let me see. Daniel, can your general target audience shift or differ than your paid membership audience? Is there a balance? It's a great question. Yes, I think like my true value proposition is helping creators make better video content, put it onto YouTube, and grow an audience around it. But my membership stuff focuses really more on the channel growth. We don't talk a lot about video editing. When you go into my group, you don't see our live streams. You don't hear a lot about this is how to use, this video editing software to make that YouTube video that you've been struggling with. There are some conversations like that. But everyone uses different software. There are some conversations about the YouTube features. Whenever there's new features out, but most of the people in the group, from being there long enough, know how to, there's an occasional question, hey, how do I get this to work? But those are fewer because a lot of the people that are in there know how to use the YouTube features. So it really focuses on one aspect of it. I do believe that your membership should still be true to the thing that you do on your channel, because why would someone be a channel member if it's a completely different thing? Like I don't want to learn gaming tips from a cooking channel. I won't become a member for that, but I might want to learn specific. Maybe they have a group that does very small group cooking tutorials and teaches how to do, like, you know, if you're interested in doing some high-end gourmet meals, I actually have a memberships group where we do live streams and I show everybody, I walk them through these and we talk, and, you know, I teach them the skills to make like these high-end, you know, meals, gourmet meals, and it's from a cooking channel. Then that might make sense, right? That might be the kind of thing. I think they should relate, but I don't think that they need to be, they don't need to be the entire value proposition. I think they should be something that falls under the umbrella of your overall value proposition, some piece of that equation. Good question, though. It's such a big thing to fight that aspect of it's all been done before. Love that showing up. Yeah, it is. It really has been, like, just like music. I kind of think that way. Like, what band is going to write a song that's going to use some chords that we haven't heard before? Or, you know, it's going to be the vibe of it. It's going to feel it's going to feel, you know, like, is there really someone's voice out there that's so much different than something I've heard before? Is there some guitar solo or some drum beat that's so much different than I've heard before? No, I can usually trace it back to some combination of roots, but it's that uniqueness. Maybe it's the blend, how they approach it. Maybe it's like it feels a little different because the look of that person mixed with the sound and the way they're approaching the music. It may not all be each individual, you know, ingredient may not be completely original, but the blend of how they're putting it all together becomes unique and authentic. LBC Branding, YouTube member, glad to have you aboard. Make sure you go to the memberships tab of my channel, and there's a link in there where you can join the Facebook group. Just click on that link and make sure it has all the instructions. It tells you what to do. Just grab your channel URL or channel name, because Megan authorizes all that separately, so she has to compare. Sometimes if you're on Facebook, you might have your own personal name, and then your channel name on YouTube might be different. So that's why we have you make sure you drop your URL so we can come and we can connect the dots and authorize you and make sure it's you. Welcome aboard. So true. Everyone can still find their own voice when they take those risks in music making and add their own flavor. 100%. 100%. This is really what I was hoping to get through today to everyone out there. Really think about your target audience as the interests. What is it? If you were sitting at a table with them, what is it you'd be talking about? You can't say just gaming, cooking, right? Who are they? Who are they? What commonality do you have, right? Dee and I did a presentation last year at Vid Summit, and we made a sort of a mock-up of a fake cooking channel. And we decided to make a cooking channel that was specifically designed for people who didn't have a lot of time to cook, maybe had families, they needed to get home after a long day of work, and they needed to be able to cook fast dinners that would taste great for their families. So we made up a whole channel called 20-Minute Meals. And we named it 20-Minute Meals, and it was like fast and easy recipes for everyone, right? Just giving people, hey, if you're in a situation that you just don't feel like you have the time to cook for whatever reason, we're going to give you fast and easy recipes that you can make at home that'll taste great. And we built this whole fake channel. It wasn't real. We just built it on paper. We built the videos, with thumbnails, the titles, we laid out, it looked just like a channel. But it was all fake, and it was just designed to show how when you really understand who you're making content for, you can make better channel art that represents that. You can make sure you understand the channel name. You can make sure the titles of the videos, the thumbnails, all serve that target audience, that the names of the playlist, the way that the playlists are put together. If you know who you're building the suit for, right? If a tailor makes a suit, if you just make a suit and then have to go find someone to fit the suit, that's a little tricky because it's one size. You got to find someone who it fits perfectly. Much better to know exactly who you're making the suit for than make the suit for them, because then you'll get it perfectly tailored for that person. Same with making channels. When we build channels, know exactly who you're building content for, and then try to make content that serves their needs and hopefully something you're passionate about. With me, I'm very passionate about making videos, putting them on YouTube, and trying to grow a YouTube channel. It's something I'm doing myself. And anyone else who's interested in that same thing, come along from the ride. We'll talk about it. I'll give you all the tips I've learned along the way. I'll tell you some of the struggles I've had. And we'll have those conversations based around what it's like to be a content creator full-time, trying to make content, put it onto YouTube, and grow a channel. That's always been my goal. Lots of new members here. Love it. So you guys, you claim them. That's excellent. Make sure you go to the membership tab of my channel. the perks drop down. Make sure you jump into the Facebook group. Thank you again, everyone, for hanging out today. Thank you, Doug and Heidi, for giving away those memberships. That was wonderful of you. I have to thank our sponsor, StreamYard. If any of you are interested in making the kind of live streams and being able to do this thing that I do, where I can present stuff on screen and I can do all these cool different layouts and invite guests. If you want to make live streams that look just like this, it's fast and simple. Click on the link that I've got either in the description or at top of the chat, and you can actually start using StreamYard for free right now. Great sponsor. Love that they let us do this every week here on my channel. So you guys have a great Sunday. Get out there, enjoy the rest of your day, and make something great. Go make some content. Get out there and create. I'll talk to you guys all soon.